Picture this. It's 2017, deep inside the Amazon canopy, and something is moving through the trees. Something completely hidden from the outside world, yet undeniably present. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going back to uncover a mystery that began incredibly quietly, right beneath the leaves.
It wasn't a storm snapping the branches.
It wasn't massive wildlife migrating through the brush either, and it absolutely wasn't just nature reclaiming the land.
No, it was something far, far more deliberate. We're talking fresh tire tracks appearing in the mud in places where no roads were supposed to exist. Entire stretches of trees were just vanishing from protected zones. Zones that our most advanced satellite maps confidently labeled as completely untouched. To put that into perspective, some of these hidden tracks were showing up in areas roughly the size of a small country. Hidden camps were popping up inside dense jungle corridors, and the indigenous patrol groups, the people who literally know this forest better than anyone alive, started noticing a deeply, deeply disturbing pattern. The jungle was being entered, quietly, systematically, and somebody was trying very, very hard not to be seen.
Section 1, Anatomy of a Disappearance. Let's dive right into how this actually happens. So to understand how this massive destruction goes down beneath the canopy, we kind of have to put on our investigator hats. And the first thing that absolutely shattered my own perception of the rainforest is this contrast right here. People usually imagine the Amazon as this huge, empty, unbroken green ocean, right? But honestly, that's a total myth. The reality is that millions of people actually live within these regions. The rivers are basically highways through these remote landscapes. And the threat they're facing, it's not some dramatic Hollywood scene of instant explosive devastation. No, it is a slow, deceptive, and highly systematic degradation of their home.
It turns out this destruction is a highly calculated industrial system, and it happens in very specific phases. First up, you have selective logging. This quietly removes the most valuable trees, stuff like ancient mahogany. Once that high-value timber is out of the way, they cut dirt roads to create broader access. Next, the burning starts, clearing out the remaining brush and vegetation. And finally, new land claims emerge, and cattle expansion moves right in. The crazy part? By the time outsiders or the international community even notice what's going on, this supposedly temporary encroachment has already transformed into permanent occupation. The system is just so deeply embedded before anyone even rings the alarm.
Which brings us to a genuinely chilling realization from our source material. Read this. Major destruction rarely begins looking major. It begins quietly. Literally just one unauthorized entry point, one hidden dirt road, a single small camp. That one clearing acts as the silent trigger for everything that follows. It advances through accumulation, It's this incremental loss that completely disguises itself as manageable change, until suddenly an entire ecosystem begins collapsing.
Moving on to Section 2, the frontline defenders.
Because this whole siege is so stealthy, indigenous communities have really been forced to become the primary investigators on the ground. And let's be clear, they aren't just passive victims in some documentary. They are actively stepping up and filling massive gaps left by overstretched enforcement agencies. Just imagine trying to navigate a dense jungle at night. No city lights, no reliable cell service, trying to track suspicious machine movements in places where absolutely no machinery should exist. These patrol groups are out there documenting illegal activity, recording invasions, and navigating incredibly dangerous zones. And they know full well that armed confrontations are a real possibility. They're doing this because they're holding the line, protecting territories their communities have defended for generations. And what really shocked me reviewing this is that we aren't just talking about a couple of isolated guys cutting down trees in the dark. Not at all. Just look at the networks involved here. You've got illegal loggers, massive land grabbers, hidden ranches. This whole operation relies on huge, well-financed systems of transport, heavy equipment, and intimate local knowledge. Sometimes it even involves deep corruption and intimidation. And their motivations? It always comes down to money, land, power, and political pressure. They are literally exploiting the sheer vastness of the terrain to do their business and vanish before the authorities can even show up.
Okay, Section 3, Ecological Feedback Loops. Let's zoom out a bit here.
But here's the thing, the damage happening in these hidden clearings does absolutely not stay local. The global stakes are terrifyingly urgent. So what is an ecological feedback loop? It's essentially a massive chain reaction. When you reduce forest cover, it actually alters regional rainfall patterns. Less trees means less rain. Less rainfall means drier conditions. And those drier conditions directly skyrocket the risk of catastrophic fires,
which ultimately makes the entire ecosystem critically unstable. It just feeds on itself. You can really see the domino effect of this chain reaction. As that forest fragmentation expands, wildlife corridors literally break apart. Species behavior starts to change. Vast regional water cycles actually shift, and that vulnerability to catastrophic fire goes through the roof. Scientists have been warning us about these thresholds for a long time, points beyond which these ecological systems become completely unstable. And once this accumulation of disaster crosses those thresholds, the damage becomes a runaway train, and recovery is absolutely no longer guaranteed. There is no going back.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 4, a global vulnerability.
By the end of 2017, this sense of looming danger had expanded way beyond just the specialists. We really need to step back and absorb what the Amazon's vulnerability means for the rest of us. It all comes down to this brutally simple yet powerful economic reality. A standing forest protects ecosystems, it stores carbon, and it preserves biodiversity. But a cleared forest? Well, a cleared forest can generate immediate, tangible profit through land, timber, and resource corridors. That reality changes the whole game. It means the Amazon isn't just an environmental story about saving the trees. It is a highly complex geopolitical, economic, and human rights battleground, layered with some deeply competing interests.
So once we realize that even the world's largest, most famous rainforest can be pressured, fragmented, and quietly transformed right under our noses, a much deeper fear starts to emerge. Think about it. If this can happen here, across millions of hectares, monitored by satellites and fiercely defended by local communities, where else are hidden systems operating entirely beyond public view? It leaves us lingering on this deeply unsettling thought. The fight for our planet might already be in a much darker, much more invisible chapter than we ever realized.